You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me on another episode of All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Make sure you go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for suggestions or comments. I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. Busy sports day yesterday in the sports world. I just want to touch on baseball real quick. My Atlanta Braves are now up 3-1. We sent the rookie pitcher out there yesterday to beat Clayton Kershaw. And, historically, Kershaw he just never been that great in the postseason. And kind of showed again, last night. And the Braves are 1 game away from the World Series, and the sports world gods and everyone else know in the sports world, Atlanta needs this. We need this in the worst way. My Braves are 1 game away from the World Series, and over in the ALCS, you have the Houston Astros. They went in dramatic fashion yesterday with a walk-off home run, knocking off the Tampa Bay Rays. That series is now going to a game 6 as Tampa leads that series 3-2. All right. Wanted to touch on some NBA basketball news, coming out now that the season is over. You're going to have your coaching changes and GMs and all that nature. Well, Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, stepped down yesterday. I believe it will become effective in November 1st, I believe. Now, Morey has been the Rockets GM since the 07-08 season. And his team, the Rockets, they have the league's second best regular season record over his last 13 years as general manager and 14 years with the franchise. Now, under Morey as the GM, the Rockets, they made 77 trades, which is the second most in the NBA since 2007, only behind the Philadelphia 76ers, who made 78 deals. Now, among his trades were James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul. So he does have an eye for talent. He's the guy who bought Russell. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and, those guys in there. I think he did an okay job. I can see him getting another job, When the problem with that was it was coaching. It wasn't necessarily more so. Well, I don't know if it was coaching or Daryl Morey, who really wanted to go with the small ball aspect for the Houston Rockets because it clearly didn't work. That kind of ball and living by the 3, die by the 3 will only get you but so far. And the Rockets, they've paid dearly for it, like the last 4 years, They end up as one of the best teams with one of the best records, and they're always bounced in the Western Conference Finals or either the Western Conference Semis. So outside of that, Daryl Morey also came under scrutiny after a tweet supporting freedom in Hong Kong, which led to China pulling the NBA off its airways and suspending sponsorship agreements with the leagues. Now, I did hear that China did allow the NBA Finals to be heard on their airwaves just recently. So I do remember that whole, fiasco that took place between Daryl Morey and, you know, LeBron James had something to say about the situation. I'm not going to go all into it now. But I don't know how I feel about it. The Rockets. They're looking for a GM now and a head coach. You know what? I tell you what, I do know how I feel about this. I don't like it. It's never a good thing when you have players in place already that you're not going to trade, because GMs and coaches kind of want to come in and do their own thing. It just is what it is. They want to clean house. They want to bring their own guys in and do it their way. So I don't like where this is going for the Houston Rockets. We'll see what happens. Daryl Morey stepping down as the Rockets GM. I don't like the move for Houston. To me, I know it's just a GM, but when you have the right GM, it plays a factor. And I think the Rockets are going to suffer with Morey stepping down. All right, so other NBA news. Brooklyn Nets fans, get ready. The team is going to celebrate their past by introducing their throwback 90s uniform this season. Now, if you haven't seen it, well, I'll put a picture up, so you should see it there. But it's the old school, Drazen Petrovic wore the jersey. I believe Derek Coleman and Kenny Anderson wore those powder blue, look like bleach stains in the jerseys. I never did like the jersey because I remember it showed so much sweat on the jersey. You can see it on TV, you know, and guys would just be in puddles, and you can just see it the way how light the jersey was as far as the color. So, but another reason why I don't really like the jersey is because I associate that jersey with losing. That came at a losing time for the New Jersey Nets. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. I don't like it. I already don't like Kyrie Irving playing for the Nets. That's Kevin Durant's team. I don't care what anybody says. But I mean, but what's crazy is when I saw the jersey, I like the jersey now. But in the 90s, I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. But I like it now as a throwback. Definitely like the jersey now. All right. Other NBA news. Ty Lue gets he gets a coaching gig. He is now the head coach of the LA Clippers. Now, Tyronn Lue, who is 43, has had significant support among key Clipper players in the search process. Now, Lue is replacing Doc Rivers, and he served under him as an assistant with the Clippers. Now, this leads me to believe that maybe Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, I just talked about him, but this leads me to believe that maybe Kawhi Leonard did have a play in this. The fact that you don't bring in somebody fresh, an entire brand new coaching staff. You just promote, the next head assistant to be the head coach, and you move Doc Rivers out. So that leads me to believe that Kawhi or one of the other guys had a hand in saying, "Hey, it's not working with the Doc." So the Clippers, this year they blew a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference semifinals, losing in 7 to the Denver Nuggets. Ty Lue won a championship in 2016 as the Cavaliers head coach, reaching the NBA Finals in 3 straight years. Now, as a head coach, Tyronn Lue is 128 and 83 overall, and he is 41 and 20 in the playoffs. He won 2 championships as a player with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I, for one, I know even what I just said, you're kind of baffled by letting Doc go and you just promote Ty Lue. I think it's good. See, I have a system with the coaches. You know, if they weren't that great as players, for some reason they turn out to be amazing coaches. Guys who just aren't that great and they're sitting on the bench most of the time, they see things, and I guess they see it from a coaching viewpoint since they're sitting there on the bench. I watched Tyronn Lue play when he was here in Atlanta with the Hawks. I watched him play when he was in Washington with Michael Jordan. And he really didn't get much PT. But those are the guys that I like that once they retire, I like those guys becoming head coaches. They just prove that they know what they're doing. I don't know how else to say it. All right, switching gears, we're going over to the NFL now. LeVeon Bell has decided to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. People are upset. They are saying that the Chiefs are playing Madden with no salary cap. But Le'Veon Bell said that he wants to win a Super Bowl and believes that Kansas City is the place to go and try to do it. Now, before he signed, he had narrowed his choices down to the Dolphins, Chiefs, and Bills, according to sources. My dad would have loved that. My dad being a Dolphins fan, he would have loved that. Now, Le'Veon Bell will have to go through 5 days of COVID-19 testing before he can join the Chiefs per league protocols. So he will not be available to play on Monday. Now, the 4-1 Chiefs, they are 13th in the league at rushing, averaging 119 yards per game, and they are 10th at 4.5 yards per carry. Now, that's crazy because check this out. Since week 2, the Chiefs are 19th in the league in rushing, 108 yards per game, which is still a good clip. But they don't have a rushing touchdown from a running back. So this is their reasoning for signing Le'Veon Bell. And, maybe Le'Veon, now that he's going to get with Andy Reid, he won't be much of a head case. Guys respect Andy Reid. Andy Reid commands respect. Make fun of him all you want, about the whole cheeseburger thing and him with the visor coming over his face and he's still drawing plays up and can't see. Say what you want, but guys around the league respect Andy Reid. He has players respect. So Le'Veon Bell, hopefully he can make it work there, and we won't hear any more of the nonsense that comes out from his camp. All right, so look, that's all I got for you today, folks. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for comments or suggestions. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace. Go Braves.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.